Good evening, everybody. My name's Tom Stoukas, coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario, on this Wednesday, May 14th, and just taking a look at the going ons in Canada as Mark Carney picks his new cabinet and gets his new cabinet sworn in, and meanwhile, it's the same motley list that was under Trudeau with a few new faces. He dropped a lot of baggage from Trudeau, but there's still a few sticking around. But I don't know. I'm not very optimistic about this crew at all. So we'll look at some of the key picks of the cabinet. But I I feel like it's gonna be the Mark Carney show. He's gonna run things the way he wants it. Like they usually do. But it's uh it's gonna be a long 4 years. I'll tell you that much. And then on the international front, Donald Trump's in the Middle East, making some interesting speeches, uh, saying basically decades of U.S. policy was wrong, like military intervention in the Middle East and in Afghanistan. It's been a disaster, and he's going to do a totally different policy where it's actually letting them govern themselves and not bomb them and causing all sorts of chaos. So I saw the speech and I'm like, yeah, this is the reason I wanted him to win, Donald Trump, because he's against neoconservatives who are basically totally pro-war. Like didn't see a war they didn't like, and this group really sprung up, and a lot of them are Jewish, so you get called accused of being anti-Semitic if you criticize these guys because for some reason a lot of them are Jewish, and they're these neoconservatives that push for this strong military intervention policy, and it just happens to benefit Israel too because Netanyahu was really gung ho for the U.S. to invade Iraq in 2003. He was making testimony and applying all sorts of pressure, and so basically Donald Trump goes to Saudi Arabia and he makes a speech which is very humble and he's very saying to them like almost like very respectful, like you haven't seen usually a Western leader talk to the Arabs, and he basically refuted like decades of U.S. policy was in Western policy. It was very interesting because the U.S. has been the West has been intervening in the Middle East, rightly or wrongly, for 100 years, and before that was the Ottoman Empire. So there's a long history there. And Donald Trump seems to think it's better policy to make money in land deals. Like there's lots of deals to be made, a lot of money swimming around out there. Instead of trying to get in that money, he wants it. So instead of bombing the Middle East, he wants to develop it with U.S. deals and money and investments and vice versa. I don't know. The question I'm wondering when I watch the speech is like, is this like a fake out? Like, is he actually gonna bomb Iran with Israel? Because that's what this seems like they wanted, and Trump's been holding them off. So we believe, like, who knows if that's the case. But after giving a speech, and we're going to look at the snippet of his speech, is he can you honestly think he's going to bomb Iran and start a war with Iran after giving a speech like that? It's hard to see that. Like, it's hard to see him giving a speech like that and then starting a war. Like, it wouldn't make much sense. So Bush, when he was pushing for the Iraq war, that's all he would talk about is how we got to fight Iraq. So it doesn't sound like he's doing it. So hopefully that's the case. He better be careful. He might uh, he might run afoul of some people. And I guess Ontario's budget's tomorrow, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be, I don't know what, lots of stimulus, they said. I don't know what that means, like maybe tax breaks and stuff. We'll see. And yeah, it's not looking good in Canada, I think. We're going to look at these cabinet ministers to just see why it's not looking good. It's really all up to Carney now. Like, if is he gonna govern properly, or is he gonna do it like Trudeau and run Canada into the ground? I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to give the guy benefit of doubt, but I'm not. I'm sensing he's like the closer in the globalist experiment of Canada, the digital experiment of Canada. He's gonna close all the deals, the digital currency, digital ID. Oh, but you know, we're gonna every bill that comes out of there, we're gonna have to scrutinize. Things are bad, but they could always get worse. And then we still got Alberta to deal with, the separatist sentiment, and as Pierre was talking about, had to make a statement already. They haven't called a by-election, I don't believe, until Parliament resumes. So he was already asked about the Alberta separation and his stance on it, and he gave it. He basically said, I want Alberta to stay part of Canada, but they have legitimate grievances. So basically, same as Danielle Smith answer. But I'm sure the Liberals will keep bugging him, like the media and all that will keep bugging him. And campaigns are weird, even by-elections. Anything weird can happen, especially with the sentiment high in Alberta, the separatists, and the frustration with the federal government. And I have a feeling this cabinet ain't going to do much to make Alberta, satisfy their grievances. I don't see it happening. So it's crazy stuff. It really is. It's totally unpredictable. Really, anything's possible. Economically, in Canada, it's a lot of stuff's up in the air right now. So that's what we're going to look at. The housing market. Oh my God, there's so much. So we're going to look at all the aspects of the economy here in Canada as vis-a-vis the new ministers. And yeah, we're screwed. I'm not black pilling. I'm saying with this bunch, we're screwed. And it's like, it's crazy. And we got the Conservatives, like, they're literally invisible, really, when you think about it. You have Pierre making a few statements, but really the bench is very low, or very, very shallow. I don't know what the word is. You don't see anyone out there taking digs at the Liberals and doing that. And, like, in the old days when the Liberals and Conservatives, at least they made it look like a competition. So maybe they wait until Parliament resumes, but they just seem weak. I don't know. So, I don't know. The Leafs are losing too. I don't know. I can't even watch that. All right. Let's go to the day that was here. So this is a speech. We'll go with the speech first. This speech first here. Trump. Hold on.
Building cities together, not the transformations have been unbelievably remarkable. Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that.
Yeah, I love it. Elon's back
and it's
there.
Crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly.
All right, that's the speech there. So, you think that speech is like, okay, it's good for if you're against like globalists and their globalist nonstop wars. You think that's a good thing? He said, and it sounds good. I'm glad he said it, but I don't know if he's just talking about the Arab countries, or if he's talking about Iran too, or if he's saying, oh yeah, we're gonna bomb Iran, by the way. So I can't see him bombing, like taking part in a large scale bombing attack on Iran after giving a speech like that. Like I can't see it. Like it could be his speech saying this is what he wants, and then he could say Iran won't agree to this, so that's why we're doing it. So whatever. But giving a speech like this doesn't give me we're gonna bomb you vibes. So we'll see. I don't know what to believe anymore, but it sounds on the surface it sounds like he's genuine, it sounds, but we'll see. We'll see. So, let's start with this. We're really going to concentrate on the cabinet. And then we'll look at the other things. First, I saw this too. Look at this quick. It's a little economic news around here, London, Ontario, not far from here. They had this cricket factory, and the Trudeau government, I guess, invested some money into this company, and now it's owed nearly. The Farm Credit Canada Crown Corporation is owed nearly $30 million in the bankruptcy. That means Canadians can stand to lose significantly from this collapse. Massive cricket processing facility in London, Ontario, partially subsidized by Ottawa, now under receivership, according to multiple sources. Yeah, like, nobody's going to eat crickets, man. Cricket powder. So we'll see if Carney continues with this dumb stuff. Like, it could very well be worse. It could be cricket and worm factory, mealworms. So see if this nonsense continues under Carney. All right, so here's Carney talking about his cabinet.
Governments, half of those ministers are new. So there's some similarities. There's experience being deployed in different ways. I'm a new prime minister, and let's look at the cabinet as a whole, because I'm not quite sure I make the distinction between the quote front bench and the cabinet as a whole. We only have 28 cabinet ministers. That's down from the mid-upper 40s. Some previous governments. Half of those ministers are new. Never been cabinet ministers before. In many cases, they're new to Parliament as a whole. So we're bringing in a lot of fresh energy, fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, alongside with experience. And that's a good team. That's a good management team, in my judgment. Obviously, I spent a lot of time trying to construct it that way.
And I do take the point on the fresh faces, but even when you point to the experience of those who are in the sort of biggest roles, the reason why I highlight them is because they were at the forefront of the decisions that the previous government made.
I disagree with that.
They were. I mean, Mélanie Joly, François-Philippe Champagne, he led the industrial policy. Now he'll be in charge of finance. Dominic LeBlanc led a lot of those files as well. We are used to hearing from them, justifying and explaining the decisions that Justin Trudeau made.
Well,
so now we're going to hear from them again.
Well, first off, now you're hearing from me. I'm a new Prime Minister. I'm the 24th Prime Minister of Canada. I've got very clear set of objectives, which I laid out in the course of my initial government from that cabinet table. Cancel the carbon tax right there. In fact, just to our right is my first act. But developing this focus on one Canadian economy, getting rid of internal trade barriers. We'll do our job by Canada Day. That means the federal government. We're working with the provinces so that they can move out of the way. Some of them are moving really fast. Nova Scotia, Ontario, others moving fast. We're trying to get all of them. But plus unlocking these major projects that are going to build this economy for the next generations. Not just growth today, but growth for generations. That's a focus. That is an entirely new focus of this government. At the same time, we're working on this economic security partnership with the Americans and diversifying our trade partnership. Different focus, different people. I'm bringing a different, I mean, there were so many differences. As I say, half of the cabinet is different. Big change in terms of priorities. Big change in terms of speed. This is one of the fastest swearing in Canadian history. It will be one of the fastest returns in Parliament in Canadian history. You'll see with the speech from the throne, which the King will deliver in whatever it is, 12 days' time, 13 days' time. And in that speech from the throne are going to enumerate some priorities, including success by Canada Day. So we're going to go hard.
So how do you articulate, because you conceded today, you did through the campaign, that the mandate you have is one for change. It's against that backdrop that I'm asking those questions about those big faces for your cabinet. How would you articulate to Canadians like what that change will actually look like? Is it just you?
So, well, no. Okay, if I may, you are going into process and personnel. I'm going to results. I'm talking about one Canadian economy. I'm talking about getting rid of all the federal
But those personnel
no.
So basically, she's bugging him about having all the same Trudeau guys in his cabinet, which is a good point. He's not going to answer. I mean, he just keeps talking like, oh my God, he bores the hell out of you. That's his superpower. He can bore you. And you're just like, whatever, man. He's boring, very bland, banal, almost banal. Okay, let's look at some of these picks. Okay, Stephen Taylor said Brampton has more representation in Mark Carney's cabinet than Saskatchewan and Alberta combined, which is probably true. It's only going to get worse, too. We'll be India in no time. I was reading the bio or the policy bio on the new immigration minister. And she was a immigration minister for, I don't know, Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. Let me check. And her first priority sounds like is to to, all those Nova Scotia, okay. She was Nova Scotia immigration minister. She's a refugee, actually, from Lebanon, which I thought was kind of interesting, because Carney, they had a Jewish immigration minister, whoever Trudeau put in, or did Trudeau put her in? And now they've put in a Lebanese refugee for an immigrant. So I thought that's quite the change. But anyway, she was the Nova Scotia immigration minister, and her priority, according to Grok, is that she's going to give permanent residence priority to the ones that are already here. So remember saying about the 5 million, I don't know, 5 million, 4 million that are here, that are due to leave or whatever, this and that. I don't know. So if whoever gets a PR card is going to be people that or the priority is going to be for the ones that are here already. So basically, it sounds like an amnesty to me, like a soft amnesty, like in the States they were always talking about doing an amnesty, which, the idea is it encourages more to come. The argument against the amnesty. So I thought that was crazy. So we got to watch this immigration minister. She's very good, I guess. The idea is she's good at streamlining the applications, basically getting them in faster. We have to look at Nova Scotia. So she's the immigration minister. She's kind of a low-key. What? And I don't know how many of Lena Metleg Diab. Okay. We'll have to watch what she does, how her immigration, because under Sean Fraser and Mark Miller, it was like just open the gates. They didn't see an asylum seeker or refugee, anybody that, it's like people are calling their cousins back home and saying, come to Canada. I don't know if they're saying that now, because it's changed, things have changed, but she's gonna normalize the ones that are here with PR cards. That's what it says. It's her priority. So that'll be interesting to watch. Okay. Okay. See, this is the thing with Trump. When I said about Iran, I saw this clip too. And he's talking about Iran. So it could be like a carrot and a stick speech, like, oh, I'm giving them a chance and then I'm going to bomb them. So that's why I'm still not convinced that he won't bomb them.
The Biden administration, the worst. When I left office, the only thing still standing between this region and its unbelievable potential was a small group of rogue actors and violent thugs seeking constantly to drag the Middle East backward and into havoc, mayhem, and indeed into war.
Is he talking about Israel?
Unfortunately, instead of confronting these destructive forces, the last U.S. administration chose to enrich them and empower them and give them billions and billions of dollars.
He's not talking about Israel.
The
No, he's talking about Iran.
The worst administration in the history of our country, by the way, spurned our most trusted and long-standing Gulf partners, and I can say partners worldwide, one of our great, great partners, no matter who we look to, and we have great partners in the world, but we have none stronger and nobody like the gentleman that's right before me. He's your greatest representative, greatest representative. And if I didn't like him, I'd get out of here so fast. You know that, don't you? He knows me well. I do. I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much, you know?
Oh,
too much.
God.
I like you too much.
All right. Jeez, that's weird.
Great guy.
Okay, so that's basically as what's the word? Kind of militaristic as he got against Iran, it seems like he didn't go all nuts. So it's an interesting speech. I think it's kind of shocked. People still haven't reacted to it, like the neocons who are like used to controlling the world, I guess. And I was like joking that James Lindsay's going to call him woke right now because he was for like a nationalism and against neoconservatives who I think people like James Lindsay and them basically work for, the neocons and the military industrial complex. So they're probably aghast, or maybe, who knows? It should be interesting to see if his words play out, his actions follow his words. All right. Next pick on the cabinet, Gregor Robb. So we talked about the immigration minister. She wants to bring like basically PRs to the people that are already here. So the temporary workers and international students. Yes. Interesting. Now we have Gregor Robertson, former Vancouver mayor, is now the housing minister. And this guy's from Vancouver. He's a weird guy. Anyway, and he's the housing minister. The Vancouver mayor is the housing minister. Like, really? That's okay. Let's see what he says here.
Which is why we have the GST.
Thank you. And as a follow-up, when Gregor Robertson was Vancouver mayor, the price of buying a house increased by 179% in one of the most expensive markets in Canada. Why do you think someone with this track record should oversee the housing file? Is this a signal from you that you don't think housing prices should go down?
You would be very hard-pressed to make that conclusion from everything I've said and what our priorities are. We have a strong view on housing, a very clear policy, a policy developed with a number of members of the team, including with Mr. Robertson, and I'm thrilled that he is in the new role because he brings the type of experience that we need to tackle some aspects of this problem. One of them is is how the federal government can help get municipal costs and municipal regulation costs down and regulation out of the way so that more houses can be built. Ultimately, the housing crisis, and it is a crisis, is ultimately solved by supply.
Let's build more houses.
We can do things to help with affordability at the start, which is why we have the GST cut, but ultimately it's a question of supply. And as I think you know, Julie, we have very aggressive objectives on supply, the doubling of the building of supply across Canada. We're going to have to change how we build. And a lot of that expertise, it's not exclusively, but a lot of it is actually been developed in British Columbia. Minister Robertson is very familiar with it. We're going to incorporate that, but in a pan-Canadian strategy.
So let's see a year from now how disaster this guy is, Gregor Robertson. What kind of name, Gregor Robertson? He's a weird guy. All right. Next, Pierre Poilievre's by-election in Alberta should be fun. He had to answer a question. Says he does not support the idea of Alberta separating from Canada. He's against separation. Born and raised in Alberta. Love Canada. I think we need to unite this country. All right. He's got more comments. Next, our next minister, Evan Solomon, Minister of AI. So this guy is a journalist, former journalist who got fired from CBC for doing art deals on the side on people he covered on stories, with people he covered on stories without telling his boss or the people he's covering that he was pocketing a commission, a nice commission for some luxury art, and he was selling luxury art to Mark Carney for a buddy or an associate. And Carney would buy the art, and Carney's probably rich friends would buy the art from, I guess, through him a deal that Evan Solomon brokered. and Ellen then gets his nice little cut. But he didn't bother telling CBC or Mark Carney. He's just a good art guy, just being a nice guy. So anyway, he got caught lying to CBC, and they fired him on the spot. And usually they just suspend you because they want to get to the bottom of things. But no, they fired him right. They fired this guy right on the spot. And then he gets hired at CBC, because he wanted to take over the National. I think he had the eye on the National when Peter Mansbridge retired, and then that dream was dashed. And then he went to CTV, and he was head of their politics show, Power Politics, or I don't know what the name of the one Vasi Capellas is running now. So he gets there, and I don't think he thinks he's not going anywhere because of, and he also tarnished this Freedom Convoy while he was there because he's such a globalist monkey. Anyway, so yeah, while he was at CTV, he had to go and crash this Freedom Convoy while he's in Ottawa, acting like this fair, impartial journalist, which it wasn't. And then he goes to some Eurasia group think tank in New York, which is Mark Carney's wife works there. Trudeau's buddy Gerald Butts works there. So it's basically just a hive of globalist, liberal group, whatever they do. Who knows what kind of lunches they have there. And sushi and vegan kale. I don't know. So so he's working this gig in New York, getting all sorts of contracts from the Canadian government, pushing their whatever agenda, globalist agenda, pro-war, pro-this, pro-that, whatever. And then he comes to run for Parliament with Mark Carney, who he got fired because of doing art deals with. And not only does he win in like the safest Liberal riding, he gets the safest Liberal riding in Canada, which is, I believe, Marcy Ian's old seat. And then, boom, bada bing, he's a cabinet minister of a portfolio that he has really no knowledge of. AI, which, like, come on, AI, you kind of have to know what you're talking about. Especially in this cutthroat business, because, like, there's, like, some cutthroat competition. So, and rapid change and everything. Like, does Evan Solomon look like the guy who's going to keep up with the AI change? Like, that's a disaster. Like, millions of dollars are going to go wasted. Whatever budget they have, oh, this guy's going to eat it all up. So, yeah, he even retweeted a meme of Mark Carney's campaign bus that said "retard bus," and it was like an altered image, and he retweeted it. This is our AI minister. Oh my God, artificial intelligence. You got that right. So there's our so we got our immigration minister, our artificial intelligence minister, and our housing minister, Gregor Robertson. Who's next? Well, here's Pierre talking about the Alberta thing. And I've mentioned this before. He's going to go to the by-election in Alberta, and he's going to bring this line when he goes there. But they're going to say, what if, and the Liberals are going to try to paint him as a pro-separatist. They're going to try their best. So it should be interesting if he steps on any potential landmines in what should be, like, ideally it should be like a no-nothing, boring by-election. So let's see what he says.
Ridiculous.
Are you willing to publicly denounce Alberta separatism and the Alberta separatist movement
this
ahead of a possible...
That's the kind of questions he's going to get during the by-election. Let's see what he says.
...referendum on Alberta independence next year?
Look, I'm against separation. I'm a born and raised Albertan. I love Canada. I think we need to unite this country. Albertans have a lot of legitimate grievances. I mean, let's be blunt. Canada's biggest industry, which happens to largely be situated in Alberta, has been under attack for the last decade. They've lost two major pipelines, a $20 billion mine. There's a new ridiculous energy cap that's going to drive jobs and production south to the United States of America. There's an industrial carbon tax that's going to kill the industry. And so, frankly, Albertans have a right to be frustrated. And I think the message to the government in Ottawa, the Liberal government, is you can't tell Alberta to just pay up and shut up. Albertans want to be part of a united Canada, but they deserve to be treated with respect, and they deserve to be honored for the immense contribution that they make to this country. And I will be a unifier who works to bring all Albertans to a place where they feel that they are respected and honored in our wonderful country.
John's Pizza.
Okay, so that was a good answer, I guess, like balanced. And it's kind of like just like what Danielle Smith said when she kind of said she'd allow like a referendum to come out of like a sedition initiative. So it kind of mirrors her answer about she wants to stay part of Canada and she wants Canada to treat Alberta fairly. Okay. The question is, will he be able to keep saying that? What will he face? Any, like I said, landmines? But we'll see. Okay. The Carney cabinet retarded right out of the gate. Yes. I don't know. It's not the same as Trudeau's. Trudeau really did diversity. Like he had a lot of foreign cabinet ministers right up till the end. Carney still got a couple, but it's not as crazy. Okay. Art dealer. Evan Solomon, Minister of AI. Sorry, I lost my spot. Okay, so next spot. This is another thing that might affect Canada too, or could influence Canada, or it could be kind of like a foreshadowing for Canada. Is Keir Starmer in the UK, who's basically done a total 180 on this immigration issue. Basically sounding more conservative than like Nigel Farage when it comes to immigrants. And like people say it's because the Reform Party in the UK, which is kind of like the PPC here, is like totally gaining ground, and the Conservative Party in the UK is totally discredited as a globalist shill party, and like this Reform is like a populist party is going to like crush Labour in the next election. And now Labour's shamelessly acting like the anti-immigration party, just obviously to stem their vote loss. So I don't know if this is applicable to Canada. I don't know if the Liberals are that desperate yet. I don't think we maybe soon. Things could change quick. But Ferryman's Toll said, I know you're angry about immigration, I get it, says the guy who had hundreds of Brits arrested for being angry about immigration. Yeah, UK's whacked out. Like, this guy, to go from arresting people for being anti-immigration to acting like them, in like, it's crazy. So it'll be interesting to see if Carney ever starts acting like that, because they are buds, aren't they? Okay. And there's a story with Evan Solomon, Canadian journalist sacked in scandal involving art sale to Mark Carney. So he was interviewed on CBC, Mark Carney, when he was the Bank of England governor, by Evan Solomon, who brokered deals and took secret commissions all the while. So, yeah. The thing about Evan Solomon is the guy keeps going up in life. I'm not saying, as a journalist and as a former journalist, I'm not saying he deserved to be fired forever and never work again and be shamed for life for get caught lying to your boss. But there are career ramifications. But instead of ramifications, the guy got a gig at CTV, gig at Eurasia Group, cabinet minister gig of something he's not qualified for. So what the hell, man? What's his secret? I'd like to know. Hey, man, I'll sell you some art. Okay. Next, we got on our cabinet list, we got, oh my God, Sean Fraser, Justice Minister. I didn't even know the guy was a lawyer, to be honest. And they're saying this guy could be like a leadership contender someday because he's young and he's bright and he's good looking. And but this guy was in charge of immigration in Trudeau cabinet and then housing. And whether he failed or he caused a problem, whether he caused a problem or not, he failed to fix any of it. And he probably made it worse or caused it as being a long member of Trudeau's cabinet. Now he's going to be Justice Minister. And so he destroyed Canada's immigration system. He destroyed helped destroy Canadians' hopes, especially young Canadians' hopes for buying a house. And now he's going to be the Justice Minister and in charge so he can destroy our constitutional rights and end the court system, which is already destroyed. So this guy keeps getting promoted. So we got an immigration minister who specializes in bringing more immigrants. We got an AI guy who doesn't know anything about AI and gets fired and rewarded. And then we got a housing minister from Vancouver where nobody can afford to buy a house. Oh my God. And then we got this guy as the Attorney General or Justice Minister, similar to the Attorney General in the States. So yeah, he'll be going after us on the internet. He'll be going off so much. He'll make it his desire. Keep an eye on this guy. Very powerful portfolio. Next post here. All right, Mark Carney picking his AI minister last week. Ex-president of IBM or my art dealer? I mean, come on, man. There's nobody. It doesn't even have to be a cabinet minister. The AI could be like a czar or a advisory role. And like AI is pretty complicated stuff, like I don't think Evan Solomon's if he's a journalist, trust me, he's not qualified. So that's a joke. Oh, the guy, my art dealer. I know my art dealer. He's perfect. All right. And then we got these ministers wrecked Canada, and Carney just promoted them all. So yeah, we got Chrystia Freeland, who Donald Trump called nasty. She's in the transport minister. And then also she's going to be like provincial trade minister of some sort to get them to lower trade barriers. Her and her buddy Doug Ford. So she's still around. It's too bad. Sean Fraser, we said, Minister Justice Minister. Stephen Guilbeault will be like some culture minister. He's nuts. And Anita Anand is our foreign affairs minister. Well, she couldn't be worse than Melanie Joly. So they got Melanie Joly at industry. And I was like, whatever, man. Like, she's going to be like leading the Canada free, whatever, like the trade relationship and all that. Oh my God. It's going to be the Carney show anyway. So we'll really see how Carney governs. everybody's dumping on the Afrikaners that came to the States, and they're saying like, oh, you don't care, you only care because they're white. I was like, well, yeah, it's not a bad thing, and they're refugees, but I think I heard Ferryman Toll said the Liberals. I think I have his thing up here anyway. Yeah, this guy needs a battle axe, man. Look at this guy. I wouldn't mess with him. All right. This is Gregor Robertson. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at the hair on this guy. He's a strange guy. Now, he got in a little trouble already. New housing minister in Mark Carney cabinet was asked whether he thinks home prices should go down. Here's why he said no. Let's see why he said no. First day in the guide tells Canadian housing prices won't come down under his watch. We just need more of them. So I didn't see the article here. So he's asked whether he thinks home price. He said no. They shouldn't go down. Yeah. This housing thing will be interesting to see if it pops. All right. Next post. Ontario's taking the brunt of immigration collapse and the U.S. tariff war. Get out if you can. Ontario's in free fall and the numbers will start to show in Q2. Yeah, the budget's tomorrow. We'll see how Ontario stands. Ontario's big trouble. Bad leadership in this province. Next post, Israeli airstrikes in Gaza killed 60 people, including 22 children, health ministry says. So, yeah, horrible. It's like a daily occurrence. Hopefully Trump puts a stop to this, but I don't think he will. And I know they're going to say, oh, they're lying, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of videos. All right, Gregor Robertson. If there's one man who can make housing affordable, it's Gregor Robertson. Next, he was worth $2 billion at one point, but with Robertson as VP, the company was sold for just $500,000. That's a 100% reduction we need in the. I don't know if it was all his fault, but. And then someone who didn't make it into cabinet, Mr. Nathaniel Erskine Smith. He was a cabinet minister for less than 6 months, and he thought he was a shoo-in, but he didn't make the cut for Carney's cabinet. And instead of, he's like, he put a tweet out saying something like he became a cabinet, he decided to rerun for election because he was a cabinet minister this time and he wanted to make a difference. And then when he didn't get picked for cabinet, he feels disrespected, and he tweeted all this out. I was like, well, you're not going to get hired acting like that, like a little baby. It's like, obviously you didn't impress Carney, and you didn't make the cut. It's like, there's a lot of people worse off than you. You're getting a nice MP salary at least. You got all the benefits. You don't have no responsibilities. All you do is go to your riding barbecue this summer. You little bitch complaining. So yeah, cry me a river, light me a candle, Mr. Smith. Look at Gregor Robertson. We need to deliver. So that's the cabinet minister that wasn't. R.I.P. cabinet career. And after his little outburst on Twitter, I wonder if I can find it here. Get over it. I wonder if. I don't want to dwell on this guy. I don't give him. He's done. He's toast. And after that comment, he's never going to get a cabinet spot. Never. Nobody in a million years is going to give him a cabinet spot. So, but he's crying like a little bitch because he didn't get a cabinet spot. Like, man, there's people suffering, man, and you got it made out there. So, cry me a river. Yeah, I'm not looking at this cabinet at all, but Canada's new housing minister doesn't think prices need to come down because they want to tax home equity, says Bruce. Yeah, they might. They might do a bail-in for rich boomers. A lot of home equity sitting there. Like I see people, women, old people living in a house all by themselves, a nice $1 million house. So the government is like, we got to get some of that money. So who knows what kind of rationale. And so yeah, that's a cabinet. It's pretty bad, I think, but and then you got that little weasel, that little munchkin Champagne as the finance minister. I mean, like, I don't think he's the finance minister, to be honest. I think he's like the guy doing the announcements. I think Carney's going to be the finance minister, also prime minister. Like, I think he's going to be a finance minister. I think Champagne's a finance minister in name only. And that's it. That's your cabinet. I mean, those are the major ones. Some may do good. Some may be horrible, like really destroy the country. But I'm not very optimistic. So that's a cabinet. And then the final thing, a little cultural thing, talking about Yee's new song, which has kind of rocked the internet. How Hitler gotten banned on all the streaming services, and Joe Rogan actually came in and commented quite strongly on it, which I was surprised. He's becoming a little more bold lately. Like, he usually hedges the fence, but now he's being a little more bold. So here, this clip from his recent show about Yee's song.
There's a benefit to just letting people talk. Like, let people say whatever the fuck they want to say, even if it sucks. This is the benefit of Twitter. But this is also the bad part. It's like the fucking song has so many millions of hits on Twitter. It's been banned from every platform.
Yeah.
But is it good to ban things from platforms, or is it better to let it be out there and let people talk about it? Because if you ban it, then people want to hear it more.
That's true.
And then it becomes more popular, and then it kind of supports what he says, which is that there's this concerted effort, if you talk about Jewish people, that they're going to remove you from everything, remove you from banking, which is what he's saying. They run everything. Mm-hmm. So if they didn't, like if it was just you were talking shit about Puerto Ricans, look what happened to Tony. Nothing.
Yeah.
He's doing great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if there's certain people that you're allowed to pick on and make jokes about or mock or say something, and you can get away with it.
Yeah. Well, I think he's made his point. I think we all get it now.
It's never going to...
Okay. I'm with Rogan on that. Like, it's... People are going to play it now just as a free speech thing. It's hilarious. The more you try to ban something, the more harder it is to not. So, interesting take. He didn't equivocate much. He took a pretty bold stance there, so good for him. And on that note, we'll call it a night and spend the rest of the night not thinking about Canada's new cabinet. Oh. Until tomorrow, everybody have a nice night. Thanks.